So Phoenix Force and Nimrod, they're the power couple of Marvel Snap. It's been doing really well last season. It got rank 1 in the hands of Pogi Bonzi, a phenomenal player. And it's still good. People just aren't playing it. One of the reasons why, I think, is because people want to try new decks, they want to try out new cards. But I think when people get back to being serious, I can see this deck making a strong metagame return. So, why would you play this deck? Well, it's the premier anti-Shang-Chi deck. It goes huge with Phoenix Force and Multiple Man, but the cards stay under 8 power. Or under 9 power, rather. And you can't Shang-Chi 8 power cards. So, it's really powerful against Shang-Chi. Also, it plays Nimrod, and when Nimrod is destroyed by Shang-Chi, if you buff it with Shuri, then it just makes more Nimrods. So, if you're playing against the best tech card in the game, that's a good place to be. This is the deck to play if you want to beat up on mid-range decks and you don't mind playing a combo deck that sometimes, has a bit of a fragile hand. So this deck is relatively intricate and it has 3 plans it wants to pull off. And if you can pull off one of these 3 plans in the game, you're going to win most of the time. And if you can't pull off one of these 3 plans, you should pull out of the game. So what are these plans? The first one is playing a Multiple Man. When it moves, it adds a copy to the old location. And what you want to do is you want to kill the Multiple Man with a Venom or a Deathlock or a Carnage. These destroy a card. And then you want to bring it back with Phoenix Force. Phoenix Force brings back a destroyed card and then merges with it. But it can also move each turn. So you bring back a Multiple Man and then you move it around each turn, an 8 power Multiple Man, and it keeps adding copies to the old location. So by moving the Multiple Man around a lot, you get a lot of other Multiple Men. And the Multiple Men keep moving and you keep making more of them until you have a board full of 8s. I mean, that's not going to happen. You're realistically going to have 4 of them in a game or more of them with Ghost Spider. But 4 8s is mostly enough to win the game. The other combo plan, the other main plan, is playing Shuri, which doubles the next card you play. You play a Nimrod on the Shuri location. It becomes this 12 power card. And when this is destroyed, it adds a copy to each other location. So once you've buffed up your Nimrod, you destroy it with a Venom. It moves to another location. You destroy it with a Deathlock. And suddenly we have multiple lanes with 12s in them. 24 lanes, which are very hard to beat. So that's an incredible plan that's also very strong and resilient to Shang-Chi because of Nimrod being Nimrod. The third plan, which is sort of your backup plan, and is against decks that don't have the Shang-Chi, or when you're forced to do it, is to play Human Torch, eat it with one of these 3 cards. And then you bring it back Phoenix Force, and then the Human Torch doubles its power whenever it moves. So you move around the Phoenix Force, Human Torch combo, you just keep moving it, it becomes bigger and bigger. Then you play Arnim Zola on that lane, it copies it, then you have 2 of these huge dudes, and you win 2 lanes that way. What you shouldn't do is go all in this plan if you don't have the Arnim Zola, because then you're just moving this around, and then you just have one lane winning play, and you're not going to win the other lanes. So, Human Torch plan, a bit more fragile. It's also vulnerable to Shang-Chi. It's vulnerable to Killmonger. Let me show you that card. It destroys all 1s, and obviously Human Torch is a 1. So, So this is a fragile plan, but it's a good backup plan to have. And if you can't execute any of these plans, don't snap. You just wait for your opponent. If your opponent snaps and you think you're not going to be able to get all the pieces together, you just leave. But if you think you're going to get the pieces together, you stay in the game. You play Shuri, you play Nimrod, you play a Multiple Man, you easily play a Phoenix Force. You even play Human Torch, you easily play Phoenix Force, and you Arnim Zola it. And as long as you can pull those things off, you have a really good chance of winning the game. And in fact, when you can pull them off, you should probably snap, unless you know the matchup is unfavorable. So, the other cards of this deck are kind of support. So, these are the combo pieces. And then Ghost Spider helps you move a Phoenix Force or a Human Torch, which can give you that extra trigger that really helps push the game over the edge. Nico is mainly here for the Straw mode. After you play next card, destroy to draw 2 cards. It digs you deep into a deck so you can find your pieces. If you destroy a Human Torch or a Multiple Man, that's phenomenal. You play Nico on turn 1, you destroy Human Torch for Multiple Man, or you hold it in your hand to destroy them. Then you bring it back to Phoenix Force because you like to draw it. So Nico into Multiple Man is quite snappable. Yeah, and Shang-Chi is just here because it's such a great tech card. You can consider replacing this with other tech cards, though. I've seen Enchantress be played. And the reason why I want to play Enchantress is because you're playing against a lot of decks playing the sort of Tribunal combo. And if you want to beat up on those decks, play Enchantress. It completely solos them. And Arnim Zola is sort of your Human Torch Enabler. It can be played on the Nimrod if somehow the Shuri gets removed or destroyed. Like you play Nico, you destroy the Shuri when you play it, and then you have a Nimrod open, or you just play a Nimrod for 6 power, and then you can copy it with Arnim Zola to get 12 in the other lanes. It's a decent backup card. If I was going to replace any card in this deck, probably the Shang-Chi. I don't think you should, but you can consider cards like Enchantress. You can consider Iron Lad, because it copies the text of the top card. Sometimes this can dig you closer to your win conditions, like Phoenix Force or Nimrod, but this is a fairly inconsistent card. It's very hard to predict what's going to happen. That's very bad for a deck that really wants precision. It wants to get the right cards in the right sequence. So I'm not sold on Iron Lad, but you can try it out. You can also try the Enchantress here. If you don't have Arnim Zola, I would not stress too much unless you're really going on the Human Torch plan. You can try other cards here. Maybe a tech card, I don't know. Maybe there are other destroy cards. I haven't really thought about it in detail. You can consider... I mean, there's no real replacement for Venom Carnage, so there's not really a third card you can play there. Yeah, probably an additional tech card. I mean, the problem with a deck like this is that it's so refined and focused that really deviating too much from this main shell is detrimental to your overall game plan. I would swap out the Shang-Chi if there's anything you want to swap out for a specific targeted tech card. But Shang-Chi is pretty valuable, and it's been one of the best cards in Marvel Snap for a long time. You can't really go wrong with this card. So yeah, let's just play a few games of the ladder. So I'm within the top 300, so these should be pretty high quality games. What will likely happen is your opponent will see that you're putting off the combo and you're winning, so you want to snap when you know that you're going to put off the combo, but they don't know. So a hand like this is very snappable. And the reason is, firstly, we got Nico with the draw. Phenomenal. We got a card to destroy with it as well. We also got Shuri with the Nimrod, so I think we can snap here. Unless our opponent is playing like a degenerate combo deck that goes over the top of us, this is a very safe snap, because we're very likely to win the game. So, yeah, our opponent retreated. So the only reason you wouldn't snap there is because you're very fearful of Tribunal, or it's a really good Hela draw. And the reason we're gonna snapping is we play Nico, we destroy the Human Torch, we draw 2 cards, we're very likely to find the Phoenix Force. We can also play Shuri, Nimrod, and since we've drawn 2 cards, we're very likely to find 2 destroyers, so Carnage, Venom, and Deathlock. So yeah, that was an easy game. Our opponent respected the snap. They probably didn't have a great hand. They were probably afraid of a good hand. I personally don't retreat very much on turn 1. My opponent slaps me on turn 1, I'm often staying in. I think that's a personal complete lack of risk assessment. But yeah, it depends on what your hand is like, right? If your hand is complete trash, your opponent snaps, they might have a very good hand. In fact, very few people bluff snap on turn 1. I mean, I do. That might be a good video to do at some point, because, you know, how many games can you just win by snapping on turn 1? It has to be a decent amount. I mean, maybe you can actually even climb with that strategy. Who knows? Alright, so do we want to play into Cloning Vats? I think we do, because we want the Venom copied. This is not yet snappable because we don't have Phoenix Force. At least I think so. We could... I mean, if you believe in yourself and the heart of the cards, whatever. Alright, this Phoenix Force. We snap here because we destroy multiple mana, we play with Phoenix Force, we get lots of copies. These games have been a great illustration of how aggressively you can snap with a combo deck. Now, again, the only problem is if they're playing Destroy with a really good draw, then we have to draw a Shang. Or if they're playing a degenerate Mr. Negative or Tribunal combo deck, which can go over the top of us. Okay, they might be playing that. They haven't snapped us yet, though. The reason we're playing Phoenix Force here on the Cloning Vats is because I want additional copies of it. And I already have the Ghost Spiders, so, you know. And we're going to get a lot of Phoenix Forces this game. And we're going to be able to play in the kill. They have to have a very good draw to beat this. Let's see what they have. They're playing a Wong. I hope this isn't the... I hope this isn't the Hazmat deck, because that deck can actually own us. If they play a Hazmat though, they're going to play it before because of Odin. We're going to play a Cloning Vats Ghost Spider here because Ghost Spider can be nice. No, our opponent didn't have good draws, so they lost. So, what's really good about snapping early, we snapped at the point where we knew we were going to win the game, or we knew we had a really good chance of winning the game. Our opponent didn't know that, so they were incentivized to stay in both games, and we got an extra 2 cubes out of it. We got an extra cube out of it. So that's the value of snapping early. The downside of snapping early is that now and then your opponent is going to stay in the game, and then you're going to lose more cubes when you retreat. Or they're going to win the game, and you're going to lose more cubes when you lose. But like it's always a risk-benefit assessment. So you always want to think, do I have a more than 50% chance of winning this game? If yes, then I think you should snap, because that's more than 50% of the time you're getting extra cubes, either because they retreat or because they lose the game. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you will snap and then you will lose, and your opponent will say, the opponent will use this emote, snap question mark, and you will feel like an idiot. But as long as your call was right, given what you knew at the time, then you shouldn't be ashamed of that. In fact, I recommend, if you're a coy snapper or you don't snap very often, I recommend just getting it out of your system, playing some decks which snap very aggressively, and just snapping a ton early in the game, and seeing how it works out for you. This is an extremely confusing set of cards, like Marta, Zabu, one of these cards in the same deck. Our hand is completely unplayable because we have nothing to eat with our Carnage yet. But if we draw a... this could still be a win if we draw a multiple man and we can Carnage at the same turn. Then we can play a Phoenix Force Ghost Spiral on the same turn, get a lot of dudes. So we're still in this game. If they snapped, I would consider retreating. But we're close to a combo, so... I mean, they have a huge dude there. Okay, this is not looking good. Actually, Human Torch was one of the better draws in our deck, because we get to destroy it and we get to make a Phoenix Force, make it big with the Arnim Zola. So we still have a chance to win this game. My problem is I have no clue what my opponent's playing. Some sort of Scar mid-range deck? I mean... Alright, so we're gonna have to do some math next turn. We're gonna play Phoenix Force here, and we're gonna Ghost Spider. We're gonna Ghost Spider here because we want to eat the Arnim Zola. Do we actually? Maybe they'll play another Scar on the Cloning Bats. The reason I'm thinking about it is because you have to have an empty space to Phoenix Force. But we have an empty space here. They're snapping. That could mean they're gonna play another Scar. They're gonna have the huge dude. I think this is a retreat because how big will our dude be? It'll only be 28 power. They can beat that if they play everything on one lane. Yeah, I think this is retreat. So you have to do the math sometimes. I did the math here. It was not looking favorable. If you don't get the right draw, if your opponent snaps, they're showing confidence. They probably think we have nothing, but they could have snapped early if they were confident we had nothing. If they would have snapped very early, I might have stayed in, because I was like, cool, we can still assemble the Phoenix Force thing on turn 4, and then if we get the multiple man, that's pretty good. But yeah, I'm wondering if Phoenix Force as a deck is getting a bit weaker, because there's this huge guy who punishes you for playing your cards, not playing your cards in your turn, which is what this deck wants to do. This hand is very, very close to a snap. Because we have a 1 in 5 Nico rolling the Destroy. If we play Nico on Destroy and multiple man on turn 3, that's still enough for Phoenix Force. And it's Loki, so they're not very good against us. Because Loki just gets them a ton of trash. We have 3 draws out of 8 to eat the multiple man. We have 2 draws for that. I think it's a snap. This is fairly aggressive, but like, we have a 1 in 5 here, we have a 3 in 8, and then we have another 3 in 8 and another 1 in 5 to get the multiple man destroyed. Well, I guess we only have 1 in 5 because I'm playing the multiple man this turn if I don't get the Nico bar trigger. I did get the Nico trigger, and I also got a Venom, but I think I want the Nico trigger because drawing cards is always nice. We can also just play a multiple man and play a Venom. Nico is a little bit better here, I think, just because we're drawing cards. So yeah, I mean, you could have waited till you drew the Venom or get the Nico to snap. I think that's defensible. It's not unreasonable. But, yeah, I think you have to... Because there are going to be some games of this deck where you're just going to get a non-functional hand, you have no chance of winning, and you need to compensate for those games. Oh my god. Oh, never mind, this triggers. You need to compensate for those bad games by having a really good game and getting points there. So we're going to get... If your opponent sees they can't win, they're going to retreat if they're a good player. So, you know, you're only going to get 2 cubes out of people, and you need to compensate for those games where you had a non-game. So yeah, this is really good. The reason that I... Actually, I was thinking about armor, but the reason I didn't play... I played the Nikos because I wanted to draw cards, but I also thought, what if they're playing armor on my lane? So yeah, they had a Cosmo, which is a bit of a weird card to put in Loki. Especially if the deck has so many on reveals. But yeah, they had the Cosmo, and because we played a Nico, and because Pet Mansion rolled, if we put the multiple man into any other lane except the third lane, we would be completely screwed by the Pet Mansion. We could be completely screwed by the Cosmo. So yeah, that was a brilliant play on my part. I say that I played a game just now where I've tried to record this video before, and then I made a humongous blunder. I forgot that Titan was active, and my opponent pulled out this huge combo against me. And then I was like, I have to start again. I can't say this deck is amazing and then completely flop my games. So I'm thinking we can play a Loki here, because we have no way to move the multiple man. We want Ghost Spider. Once we have multiple man, Phoenix Force assembled, you don't really care about anything in your hand anymore because it doesn't really do anything. We can keep the Shang-Chi, but they're not going to give us targets with this deck, or the hand they drew with us. And if we play a Loki and we get something good from their deck, you know, we get a lot of cheap stuff. It's nice. Consider... No, we don't want to play it here. We could consider playing it here. I think it's pretty equivalent where we put the Loki. I'm just going to put it... It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to put it here. I have no idea what was correct. I mean... So they play the Nimrod, but the Nimrod is pretty small for them. This is hilarious. Like, they've stolen my deck, I've stolen their deck, you know? Sancho Pacho. This is a pretty high rank player, higher rank than me, so yeah. So they do have a double dinosaur, so we could have Shang-Chi though. We could play a devil in here. We could play a devil over here actually. We could just win this lane, win this lane. I mean Rogue. I don't know if any of you have watched X-Men the animated series. I haven't watched it, but I've watched X-97 and I've been very impressed with the show so far. I mean, at first I thought, whoa, what is this kid show? But then, like, you know, the good writing won me over. And actually the theme is pretty banger. Rogue is cool that, like, my problem with the X-Men movies is kind of like Rogue kind of sucks. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the 2000 X-Men movies. She's just kind of like, compared to once I saw the X-97 series, Rogue is like kicking ass there. She's very confident, capable, she has powers. And the movies, I mean, I see why they did that. She has this whole arc of being a vulnerable person who's hated for her powers, and there's this whole thing where she can't touch anyone. But, you know, maybe it's a different stage in her life. Multiple Man Human Torch. We can play a Multiple Man. We can play a Human Torch. We don't want to play in the Ninja because you really don't want to destroy anything that isn't Multiple Man Human Torch in this deck. We're really praying for a Phoenix in this hand. We're praying for a Nimrod. Either of those would be good. We don't know what our opponent's playing yet. If I want to destroy one of these, I want to be sure I'm destroying one of them and not two, so I know what I'm going to get. We can also play two over there and just roll the dice. But yeah, Multiple Man is the preferable target most of the time because it's just so consistent. Okay, this is a bit weird. So if we draw a Nimrod, Mindscape really screws us over. But if we draw a Phoenix Force, we couldn't care less about the Mindscape. I could just eat the Multiple Man and snap. Try and bluff that we have something really good. Like, I'm just gonna bluff that I just drew the Phoenix Force. I could do that. It's only, you know... It's only one cube, I guess. But it's also like, if they just stay in the game, we lose. So it's a pretty risky bluff. I think I'm probably not going to do it. We're going to play a Shuri here. I mean, we could play Shuri elsewhere, I guess, but we want to spread our power a bit. This is a Super Giant. I think I've seen this player play this before. They're going to play Super Giant, and they're going to try and discard their hand with MODOK, and then you play the Hell. This seems like a pretty anemic draw on their part, though. What is the Quinjet doing this deck? I have no idea what this deck is. Is the Super Giant just there to troll Nimrod players? I have no idea. And if the Nimrod doesn't go off because of the Super Giant on the Shuri, it might not be a great time to play it. I don't know if it still triggers. Let's just stay in the game. They haven't snapped. We'll see what they got with Mindscape. I mean, we've given them our hand of hot garbage, so... Okay, they're playing a Loki deck, but why wouldn't they just... This is bizarre. Why wouldn't they just play the Loki instead of the Supergiant? Were they really trying to disrupt us? We could just Alioth here, and then we have a dude here. I don't know if it... I think if we play the Alioth now, this thing will not get buffed. This is a very risky play. Don't try this at home, kids. But we eat this thing. I mean, they know that we have the Alioth, so what if they play against it? You know? What if they just play... I mean, they have cards that eat things in their hand. If they play the 2/4, the Carnage, and then they play the Venom on top of that, it's only 7 points. We have more than 7. Yeah, I think I'm staying. I think the Alioth is powerful here. I mean, they know we have Alioth. Okay, they made this play. It's possible staying was a mistake now that I think about it. But we only know they had this card. We didn't know they have a 1. Oh, their cards cost less. Because of Quinjet. Oh. Well, I threw this game. Whatever. Yeah. So, the other thing I didn't know if Shuri would buff the Nimrod, but apparently it doesn't. Because it isn't revealed. It says play, though. I guess play means reveal. Yeah, well, this is my my average throw for the video. I mean, you know, it turns out you can get a pretty high rank while playing terribly, so, you know. So that's hope for you guys. If you're not high rank already. If you're high rank already, if you're high ranked than me, why are you watching this? You know more about the game than I do. Alright, so... This hand is not very good. We're really desperate to draw something nice here. I have no idea what this deck is again. My opponent last game, credit to them, they made the right read. They played against Alioth. I think they made a great play. And we did not make such a great play. This is a very bad hand. I could see he's playing cards out just for the sake of it. Okay, I'm very confused now. This is a Magic Mirage? Is this just steal your stuff kind of deck? The ink variants look pretty ugly, I will say. Okay, now we can play Nico. I think it's the blurriness about the edges. I don't know why this happens. We're going to play multiple man and we're going to draw 2 cards. We're going to pray to whatever divine power you believe in that we get our Nimrod or Phoenix Force. I could see dumping the Ghost Spider. Just to make sure we draw more cards. I think that's a valid play. I think I will do that actually. Because we don't care about the Ghost Spider trigger that much. This is probably steal your deck kind of deck. Oh, that's painful. That is the card we were hoping to draw. Not a good set of games for us, I will say. So hopefully my play is rewarded and we find the Nimrod now. Haha! So, I mean, this is worth staying in for. Okay, I think this is almost unwinnable now. Because they have the Iron Man on this Nidavellir. It's really sickeningly powerful combo. We can keep playing, but I don't think this is going to be our game. In fact, we should probably retreat because they could always turn off the limbo of some sort of weird limbo deck. Yeah, so yeah, there's no way winning this with this Iron Man with this much power there. They can just put cards in the Monster Metropolis and then they win. Yeah. I mean, a few tough games, but it kind of shows, like, with this deck, you were going to have games where, like, things don't come together, and you're going to have to make decisions based on that. I mean, in that last game with the Goliath, I made the wrong decision. But, you know, it was only for an additional cube. If it was for more cubes, would it be a bigger deal? We could consider playing the Human Torch here, but we have Deathlock on 3, so playing the Human Torch on 2 is not the end of the world. And if we draw Nico with the draw mode, I'll be really happy that I kept the Human Torch in my hand. We do not get the draw mode on the Nico. I'm going to play the Human Torch now because I want to Deathlock it. So this monster is being buffed. It seems like a destroy deck with a really bad hand. It makes me want to Shang-Chi this just to make sure they don't get a good target on that. We can play a multiple man Deathlock of that, but that just slows our development so much. Like, I want a Shang-Chi next turn if I can't draw the Phoenix Force. This is definitely a destroy deck. I think I'm going to play a Venom here next turn. I can just see sniping the Venom, and I think I'll do that. We have 2 Shang-Chis as well. How did that happen? Oh, they have one as well. So we want to play Oz first. They might not expect. They would expect this if they're good. They would remember that they gave us this. So I think we want to hide the one that we have because they might not expect it out of a combo deck. And I think they're going to play a Venom here, or they might play a Shang-Chi. But either way, Shang-Chi is going to hit something big. And we have the second Shang-Chi. I think they're going to play. Yeah, this is a Venom. We're going to eat the Venom. This is really nice for us. What is Angel doing in their deck? Holy shit. Angel is such a bad card. We could consider snapping here just to frighten them, but our deck is not executing. Oh, actually, we're executing our plan now. I think we'll snap. We have another Shang-Chi for whatever big thing they have. We have a Phoenix Force to win the lane. Like if they play what's he called? Null, we just win. The thing I'm worried about is that they just play a Shang-Chi here, and then we don't know where they're gonna put the Null. But then we can just play a Nimrod on the Shang-Chi lane, so you know, I think that's gonna be good for us. I think this is snappable. I think this is a good snap. I think so far I've been very happy with my snaps this series. Haven't played perfectly, but like, I think snapping well with this deck is an art in itself, so I'm pretty satisfied about that. Okay, so I'm feeling... I suspect their Def isn't powered up. If they go Null Def here, it's a pretty big issue, but they might not have it. They might have a pretty clunky hand, though. They also have to guess right where we put the Human Torch. If we move the Human Torch, we're losing. We have 7 power here. We can play there. Wait, with this is more power? This is not more power. We're revealing first, unfortunately, so Shang-Chi. Oh, what we could do, I didn't think of this, we could play Nico and Nimrod. And then we have 6 power randomly spread. We can actually play the Nimrod here, so we can put the 6 power here. And then we put the Human Torch here, because that's the lane which will be empty. And we're surprising them with quite a lot of power. And unless they have Def into now, I don't think their Def is charged. It doesn't seem like it is. They could Shang-Chi us here, but no, they really played the Shang-Chi. I don't think they copied our Shang-Chi. I think they got an Onum Zoto or something. They had the Death. Bucky? This is not enough. I think we just... Yeah, we win. Yep! Good game. So that was a nice 4-cuber for us. Pretty happy I saw this Nico draw to kill the Nimrod line. Not super obvious. It's one of those things you kind of get used to when you're sequencing this deck a lot. There's a lot of This deck is a very much a sequencing deck. It's one of the deck. It's the sort of deck I enjoy because I like playing my cards in the right order and maximizing stuff. That's why I love Destroy so much, because that is just the sequencing deck of sequencing decks, and that's why I like this deck as well. It's different than playing something like Hello, where it's kind of like the skill is more trying to figure out the risks, like trying to figure out, should I play a Corvus Glaive here and have a chance to discard all my cards, or is it worth it? Okay, so we want to play Human Torch here just for the chance of denying them Castle Blackstone. I mean, I don't see what loses to a Human Torch, but if they play a 1-2 for some reason, like, what is she called? I mean, I could see holding the Human Torch in case we roll lucky on the Nico. That might be better, because we don't really benefit from the extra power energy at all. Okay, let's roll the 1 and 4 actually. We did not roll that. We can keep the Human Torch in our hand because we can still Carnage it on turn 3. I really want this draw of the Nico. That's one of the big takeaways from this deck. US Agent. This card is not very good. I don't have to. I should probably play with it before I completely dumpster the card. But I'm not very impressed by the concept of the card because it punishes you for playing 4, 5s, and 6s. How many 4, 5s, and 6s can you play again? How many of them will you put in the same lane? Not very many. So this is going to be I guess it's a 2/6, which is relatively impressive. But like, wouldn't I rather have a card that discourages my opponent from playing big cards, which is the Goose? I mean, I guess the Goose is symmetrical. No, this is also symmetrical, so I don't really see the use case for this card. Maybe it's just a better Goose, I don't know, but Goose wasn't really impressing anyone at the moment. And look, they had to play the Eye Evolutionary, it nerfs that. Maybe they feel embarrassed about this mistake and we just roll Phoenix Force, so we should snap. A good technique, and this is a bit mean, but you should snap when your opponent just made an error because they're more likely to tilt and leave, and not evaluate the position objectively. So we want a Phoenix Force here for the buff, but I could also see playing it over here. Yeah, I think it's close. I think I want the buff though. I want to get the buff on something rid of it. Okay, so they're playing the Affliction version of High Evolutionary. It should have been obvious for the US Agent, but yeah. So we're getting an 8 power buff on something. Hopefully it's something good. It'll probably be some Destroy card. Oh, we got a buff on the Shuri. Interesting, interesting. I wanna... did I sequence this correctly? Yeah, I'm gonna get the multiple man here. I'm gonna pull it with Ghost Spider. I'm getting more copies. I'm gonna move them around. We're gonna play the Shuri here because... Actually, is there a good reason for that? I think it's a reasonable location to put it. We can always put more cards here. Actually, maybe Shuri belongs in the middle. I guess denying them the energy might be valuable. The Shuri's a big girl. 4-9. Yeah, I think this deck is, it's experimental. I suspect this kind of deck will not gain traction. But, you know, this is a fun card. You can play this fun card. Maybe not Reno Reaper too much. So now we get another card here. Oh, it comes here. Why did I think it came here? So this is an egregious blunder because the Shuri is now not giving us a target. Yeah, well, you didn't come here for the good plays apparently. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go here. And then we don't really have anything else good to do. Guess we can play a Shang-Chi for the lols. If anyone could tell me how you pronounce Shang-Chi, I'd be very grateful. Yeah, the opponent retreated. So yeah, I don't think this deck was... well, at very least, it's not the matchup this deck is looking for. So let's play one more game. See how I'm going to redeem myself. I should probably stop recording these videos at like 3 in the morning or something. I'm blessed with a very flexible job, so you know. I can sort of arrange my schedule in my chaotic, neutral sort of way. Chaotic good, I'll give myself some credit. So yeah, I mean, as we've sort of seen this deck, you have a range of draws. You have some draws that are like unplayable. You have some decks that can just blow you out of the water. But you're not going to play against them that much. I feel like the decks that really crush you, the really intense endgame decks, the sort of like Hela with Tribunal, or the Tribunal decks, or the Mr. Negative decks, if those get a lot of traction or they're a lot of popular around your metagame, you can consider not playing this deck, but you know. Alright, we have to play the Nico for the draw mode. It's just the best mode. It's so good. But we don't want to destroy a rock, you know? Words. I'm an adult human. What can I say, guys? I guess we could just play a rock just to dig deep into our deck. I think we're reaching desperation point here. The thing about not playing a rock is that next turn I draw a multiple man, and then the turn after that I draw a Phoenix Force. We're very happy. But yeah, I don't think that's... The problem with destroying a rock, our Phoenix Force is dead now, but we could still draw the Shuri Nimrod. I think that's our only out here. So sometimes you have to take a risk. And this is one of those situations. They've also played an armor against us, which is frustrating. Because armor prevents us from destroying over here. We can play around it, but it's not plan A. Okay, we do Shuri Nimrod. Is this Snapple? I think it is. Unless they play, what is that card? If they play, my boy, Darkhawk. If they play Darkhawk, this is not a great position, but like, as long as we don't play in the Vibranium too much, we should be okay. I think I want to snap. If you should take you should take anything away from these videos, is that I'm a very aggressive snapper. I'm very trigger happy. And I think the games have sort of warranted it this time. So they're playing an Ant-Man nonsense. I don't know why that was a big... I think this is a blunder. They played the Cosmo here for some reason. I don't think you should play Cosmo in the same lane we play Armor, because they're doing similar stuff. So if they play Cosmo here, for instance, we would just die. I think maybe they might retreat. I think this is a pretty serious misjudgment on our opponent's part. I mean, you know, shit happens, so I'm not going to blame them too much for it, but, you know. If it was me playing, I would view this as a mistake and something I can learn from. The thing about card games, for me personally, I make a ton of mistakes, and that's how you learn. You just need to, you know, roll the punches on some level. You need to accept that you're not perfect, and until you're perfect, view everything as a learning experience. If you're like playing in the tournament, well, you're not going to learn in that situation because you have to win. But if you're not playing in a tournament, you're not playing for a big ladder finish. You just take every game as it comes. You say, what could I have done better? What could my opponent have done better? You figure out these things, you become better and better at the game. So I think we're winning here, right? Unless they pull off some onslaught nonsense with the Khazar. Nope, we won. Cool, so another win under our belt. We've been climbing steadily with this deck. I want to say I played relatively well. I made a few errors, of course, but you know, it happens. And yeah, we're inching closer to that top 200. Let's play another game. Let's see if we can get to the top 200. I think these have all been instructive games. I've learned from them. I think you've probably learned from them as well. And Nimrod the Nimgod sort of showing how powerful the deck is. And if you were playing like the rank 1 player in the game, if you would have seen those lines which I missed, I think you can do even better with this deck. And we've been climbing in the top 300 of Infinite. So, you know, I think that should give you an indication of how potent this deck is. If you can learn to pilot this deck to a reasonable competency, and if you know you run relatively well, you know, if you can accept that some games you're going to have a non-functional draw, I think this is a very nice deck to climb with. It's a very good deck. You just need to learn the lines. You just remember your plans, your 3 plans. Shuri Nimrod, Phoenix Force Multiple Man, or Phoenix Force, and Human Fire Guy and Arnim Zola. Human Torch, yeah. So if you remember those 3 plans and you execute them to the best of your abilities, you should be very confident in this deck because it's a strong deck. So we have Shuri Nimrod. They're playing some hood nonsense. I think this is snappable. I'm snapping a lot. I can consider playing into Strange Academy. I don't think there's any real downside. I mean, I guess we could get clogged up on Eternity range. Doesn't matter, probably not. The thing is, if I get a Nimrod and I want to, if I get a Phoenix Force, then I want to bring back something good. Okay, that is kind of irritating, but like, you know, we should have expected that from a deck that plays Hood. Mostly the clog decks now are playing Hood. I played Shuri early. I didn't realize that I could play the Nimrod afterwards. Well, because I didn't anticipate them putting something in the Super Fleur. So yeah, maybe I could have anticipated that, but like, we're fine skipping a turn. I think it's okay. What I really want to do is draw one of my other destroy cards. We kind of need to draw the next two draws. There are 2 of them left in the deck, so that is a 2 out of 5, and then a 2 out of 4. So that's pretty good odds. So snapping was definitely justified there, I think. Now the thing about this deck is that they're trying to clog you, but if you're clogging someone who's trying to venom, you know, it's not going to work out for you. Now the only thing I can see with this deck, them killing us here, is if they play a Professor X. Oh shit. I did not see that coming. I thought this was the clog deck, but I guess Galactus is fair game. Well, this is a crazy game to end the town. Yeah, we just lose. There's no way we can beat this because they just playing on Eyeless and yeah. Well, our opponent surprised me at the Galactus. I mean, well, that was a harrowing experience, and I just dropped again by the amount we climbed. So, you know, I could have played it on the Galactus better. I mean, the clog decks normally don't run it, so I think the read was okay. Maybe I could have put the Shuri in there, the Superflow lane. No, that wasn't correct, because the thing is, we had the Superflow lane and we had the Shuri, and we wanted to stay out of the Superflow lane so we could play Nimrod. So we could have read the Green Goblin, and we could have read Galactus. The fact that they snapped could have tipped me off to Galactus. So, yeah. That game was a bit tricky. I don't really fault myself for that game. If I was really clued into Galactus, that's the trouble with Galactus. Galactus is bad, so you don't expect it. And then when you don't expect it, it kind of beats you. So yeah, interesting games. We learned a lot from those games. I learned a lot from those games. And I hope you learned something about this really potent deck. Even with not optimal play, we did pretty well. We laddered quite a bit. And yeah, aside from that Galactus game, I think we held our own pretty well. So this is a deck I would consider playing. Just you have to be aware of these plans, right? Again, just Shuri Nimrod, we pulled off a lot of these games. We pulled off multiple man Phoenix Force. We didn't really pull off Human Torch Phoenix Force, but you just have to Human Torch, eat that Phoenix Force, and then copy it with the Armor Zola, and you can get some huge power of that. So yeah, consider playing this deck. It's still a good deck. And I would strongly recommend that you add it to your repertoire, because now and then this deck will absolutely kill it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see people flocking back to this deck as the premier combo deck of choice when Shang-Chi mid-range decks become all the rage again. So yeah, I recommend giving this a twirl.